Are you really going to be okay with unaliving?
Hello, hello, hello. Everybody, welcome to the Mahogany Muse. This is my very first live stream here, so I'm going to have to get a little used to the technology and things. Um, okay. All right. I see the chat populating. All right. I am also trying to get set up to go live on TikTok. I'm only going to be on there for a little bit. Um, on there just to let people know I'm on YouTube. So, how's everybody doing tonight? All right. Okay, so I already got Oya as a mod. I think I've already made Bella a mod. We'll see when she pops up. So just bear with me, y'all. Hey, Trini. All right, let me see if I can get everybody up here. Let's see. Hi, I am live on YouTube. So if you are able to click on my profile on TikTok and come on over to YouTube, or you can just pull up YouTube at Mahogany Muse 314. I'm going to be hosting, doing the live tonight from YouTube. So come on over to YouTube, y'all. I'll stay on here for a few minutes. I'm trying to get everything situated. Add to stage. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? I just added Rebel World Bridger and Oya to the stage over here on YouTube. Hey to everyone on TikTok. I'm hosting from YouTube today. So come on over to the YouTube page at Mahogany Muse 314 over on YouTube. Oya and Rebel World Bridger, can you come off mute so I can make sure we got the audio straight?
Greetings.
My mic
Hey.
sound nice. Check when.
Yeah, I hear both of you great.
Okay.
And to everyone who is still on TikTok, I'm hosting, um, going live on YouTube. So I'm just keeping TikTok up for maybe 10, 15 minutes so that you all can come on over to the YouTube space. Let's see here. Okay, I see Trini. I'm trying to see. Okay, I didn't miss anything here. So tonight we are going to be speaking about Empowered for Tomorrow, Women Leading the Way. All right. There's been a lot of conversations that I've had in the background in our sister circle gatherings, in the self mastery classes, and things of that nature, along with some other TikTok lives hosted by other creators or what have you. And I I have a lot of thoughts about things. So I thought, why not go ahead and pop this proverbial YouTube cherry and go ahead and start going live over here, being that we don't know exactly what's going to be going on with TikTok. And I needed to get familiar with YouTube anyway. So we're just going to see how this all goes for tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and get started while we wait for a few other sisters to trickle in. So women are dedicated to creating a brighter future, taking the necessary actions to shape the world ahead. In contrast, some men spend their time on podcasts expressing concerns about women's choices regarding fashion, reproductive decisions, and personal lives. This raises the question, are these men truly serving as protectors and providers? I feel we shouldn't waste our energy fixating on what men are doing. Instead, women should channel our focus into driving meaningful contributions toward a more just and progressive world. The real question is, how can we do this in the most impactful way? Nearly a century ago, Amy Jacques Garvey called upon Black women to take the lead in shaping their futures and communities. Her words were a call to action, emphasizing the power and the responsibility women hold in driving change. Yet, as we reflect on the state of the world today, we must ask, what has truly changed since her time? Why are so many women still investing significant energy in trying to persuade men to change rather than focusing on the transformative power they can harness within themselves? The reality is, true progress begins from within. Self mastery, understanding, improving, and aligning ourselves with our goals lies at the heart of creating meaningful change. When women commit to their own growth, they become leaders by example, inspiring others while strengthening their capacity to influence the world. This process of self mastery empowers women to build resilience, develop critical skills, and cultivate a mindset that prioritizes solutions over obstacles. Instead of waiting for external validation or transformation, women who focus on self mastery are better equipped to address systemic issues, lead innovative initiatives, and foster communities that reflect justice and progress. It's about shifting the focus inward, investing in personal growth, education, and leadership development to create ripple effects that lead to lasting change. By mastering ourselves, we don't just change our individual lives, we set a new standard for what's possible, fulfilling the vision that leaders like Garvey dreamed of. And when I say Garvey, I'm referring to Amy Jacques Garvey. Now, this woman was talking about things of this nature back in 1925. It's 2024. We're about to be in 2025. So it's literally, oh, hey to everyone that's still on TikTok. Come on over to YouTube. I'm streaming from YouTube tonight. So if y'all could come over to YouTube, that would be great. So I'm trying to keep my eyes on both of these things for a moment. Hey, I'm live on YouTube tonight, so I'm just keeping TikTok up for a little bit until so everyone can come on over to the YouTube page. And the YouTube page is on the screen at Mahogany Muse 314. And you could also just click on my page, and there's a direct link from my page. Okay, all right, see you there. So as I was saying, hey, TT. So as I was saying, Amy Jacques Garvey was discussing women as leaders back in 1925. And we're in 2024, just a couple weeks away from 2025. So we're literally looking at almost a century, and a century has gone by and women are still looking to men to kind of lead the charge and make the changes. And personally, in my opinion, I think women need to step into those roles and do what's needed, and not just first starting off in their personal lives, but also looking at how could we lead that charge in terms of changing things for the collective. So, hey, Sammy says so. I'm over on YouTube tonight. So if you could come over to YouTube, again, the ad is on the screen for my YouTube page, and you can check the profile and click the link from there. So we're going to get into some details in reference to how self-mastery leads to better futures for women. Before we do, I want to look at who I have on here, Miss Oya and Rebel World Bridger, to see what they have to contribute or any response on the things I've just said before we get into anything further.
No, I mean it was a lot of information that was just shared, and a lot of statements that are accurate that were made. So I'm pretty much in agreement, and I just want more. I'm like, let's unpack, let's talk about this, let's bring it out more.
All right. So I'm gonna get into how about you, Rebel World Bridger?
Hey, I'm right along there with Oya, so please continue.
All right. Y'all keep an eye on the comments for me. Let's see here. I'm multitasking. All right. So, self mastery is a powerful tool for creating better futures for women and challenging the structures of patriarchy. It empowers individuals to take control of their own lives, choices, and impact on the world. Here's how it can contribute. So, the first thing I wanted us to kind of discuss is building confidence and independence. That's number one here. So, in terms of personal agency, by mastering their emotions, thoughts, and actions, women can make confident decisions without being swayed by societal expectations rooted in patriarchy. So, the first question that comes under that is, what societal expectations have influenced your decisions, and how can you redefine them to align with your authentic self? For me, my life has been filled with not really going along with societal norms since I practically raised myself. Hey, Keita, baby. Since I practically raised myself, um, being that I left home at 14 and kind of had to figure out adulting as a child, um, I really didn't have a lot of sticking to societal norms. I observed the things that were going on around me, but I was forced to kind of self master and find my authentic self because it was a part of me surviving, to be honest. I had to be very astute with observing and knowing the type of rooms that I was in and picking up on social cues and things of that nature. So, paying attention to like religious norms or societal norms, that for me is something that I kind of witnessed as I got older, or as I was looking at other women. I had a strong idea of what I didn't want to be. From what I saw from my mom and a few other women around me. But then I also had girls and young women around me that did exhibit a lot of the behaviors where we kind of grew up together in that sense. Shout out to one of my besties in the chat. So either of you, do you want to contribute to that particular question? Because I like roundtable discussions. Me and monologuing, as y'all know, is not one of my things. I can do it for a while, but I like more information comes out of me when I'm talking to people. So, Rebel World Bridger, did you want to comment or give feedback on the question as it relates to personal agency?
Unmute your mic.
Y'all don't have to mute out unless you got background noise or anything. You can stay unmuted so it's easier for the conversation to flow.
I Yeah, well, my experience being first born, operating in a bigger body, there was always kind of a there was a presence that I've always held and captured, that I've always had kind of protected in a way that's enabled me just to be and to exist. And so I do, um, I'm present and I'm here in a human meat suit, but I recognize myself as being a divine child of the Creator. And so this, so the societal expectations, and being our authentic selves, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still just kind of processing this whole discussion. And so I may not have very much to share on certain questions, just in part.
And that's okay.
Right.
That is perfectly okay. I'll repeat the question again for Oya, and also for the ladies in the comments. Feel free to type your responses if you have a response. Also, just bear with me a minute. I can actually give you the link. I do have a couple spots. We're waiting for Miss Bella to show up, but I do have a couple spots if you all want to come up. Feel free to click the link that I just put in the chat here, and feel free to come up and participate with the conversation. So the first question that I just asked is, as it relates to personal agency, what societal expectations have influenced your decisions, and how can you redefine them to align with your authentic self?
It just so happens I was raised in the, I want to say, the country that is New York City. So growing up in that environment, I didn't even know what cultural, like what the norms were in any sense of, until I got to college. And that's not until I got into Georgia and I understood what so societal norms were. And in reference to this conversation and this question, I didn't observe them. I didn't know that was a thing. So I was always I kind of was in my own bubble doing my own thing. Societal norms and that type of pressure comes on board as an adult. And in relation to this question, I saw that more with the pressures of like showing up as a good wife, um, being a good woman within my community. And even in retrospect now, I don't think I minded those norms. I understand community. So to me, whatever norms I was practicing, and I still feel this way, was for the greater good. And I stand by those behaviors still, because who wants to be a crappy part of the whole? So yeah, that's so for me, the societal norms, it was not a thing. And then when it was a thing, I feel like I excelled at that thing and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed participating in those norms. I didn't feel like it was a negative pressure for me personally. I hope that answered the question.
Well, I mean, it's your answer.
It sure is. It sure
That's good
is.
enough. All right. So I'm going to put out another question under personal agency. In what area of your life do you feel most confident? How can you expand that confidence, or more so, how did you expand it? Or how can you expand it further into areas where you feel limited? For me, being that I left home at 14, there was a lot I had to learn. I lived with my sister for a little bit. I started working when I was 15. I was already working from when I was younger, just like doing hair and nails and things like that. But I think don't think I've shared this, but I will go ahead and share this part. I dropped out of high school when I was in the 11th grade, and there was a lot that contributed to that. So my mom didn't want to give my sister custody. I was living with my sister. Somehow my high school found out that my mom lived in a different zone than where me and my sister lived, which was literally a block, 2 blocks from the high school. So I just walked to high school, walked to school every morning. Well, they kicked me out of school, and my mom, it took her some time to get me registered in the school near her, which was on the opposite side of town. Now, at this time, 17, by this point, I'm 17. I had bought my own car, I was driving my car and everything, but I had to drive over to the other side of town to go to school. So at 17, I'm working part-time job. I'm doing mobile hair service, and I'm having to go all the way to another side of town to go to school. It became stressful. It became very stressful. So at a certain point, I just stopped going. Between what was going on in family, this and that. Of course, later on, I went and got my GED, mainly because I wanted to seek further education in order for me to get FAFSA and stuff like that. You have to have that. But by that point, I was already working in corporate America and had been working in corporate America for 6 years. So for me, I think there was a certain level of not having a confidence in myself when I was much younger. So we're talking about early 20s, and I'm 43 now. So at that point, I think there was a certain level of lower confidence, wanting to pursue higher education or a trade or what have you, and having to deal with not really having that support from my mom or my father. I think I had to push myself. I really had to push myself to do the things I wanted to do. And pushing that, in the way that I pushed myself to do that, I built my own confidence up. So, just working in corporate America, doing different things, learning new skills, I pretty much had to be self-taught at almost everything. And so everything I put my hands on, I really pushed myself in the area. Those things built my confidence. It was me deciding to learn new skills that really hey, Holistic Self TV is oh, okay. Hey, Shawnee. I really had to push myself in those areas. And because I didn't have actual examples that were like my parents, because they weren't, active in my life in that way at that time. Hey, child of Orishas. So that's what I would say as to how things that I did in, the younger version of me that pushed myself to be more confident. And if I could be a high school dropout, make it in corporate America, then go to get, a good enough diploma, as some people call it, and then still pursue higher education and work my way up the corporate ladder throughout the years. If I can do that, I feel like anybody can. Anytime I think that there's something I can't do, I look back at what I have done, and that for me makes me feel very confident. If anybody tries to tell me that I can't do something, if it's something I want to do, I don't hear I don't hear the naysayers. I just focus on what it is that I want to do for me, because my opinion in my life is pretty much the only one that matters, since I'm the one paying my bills. Let's see. Let me look at the comments real quick. A societal norm that I've never agreed with was, as a woman, we aren't expected to be bold. Yes. Working in corporate America, there were times I found myself in male-dominated industries. I had to be bold to grow and develop in my role. That is a fact. That is a fact. And in corporate America, a lot of times when women are bold, it's not expected of us to be able to hold our own and speak for ourselves and to check people, because sometimes people will try you and you have to professionally check them. When I'm gonna tell you this, when a Black woman send you an email or says or checks you, it's interesting. Oya, I see. Okay. So we're gonna move forward. Let me check with Rebel real quick. I'm multitasking, y'all. I'm not the best at multitasking, but I'm gonna have to learn it. I've recently tried not to multitask as much because it burns you out at a certain point. So, Rebel World Bridger, is there something you want to contribute to what we were just speaking to? In what areas of your life do you feel most confident, or how can you expand that confidence into areas where you feel limited? Um, Anything in reference to that before we move on to um, breaking stereotypes, because we're still under the heading of building confidence and independence.
Sure. No, see, Mahogany Muse here, she ripens, and so I really appreciated the illustration of the working of the will, and recognizing will as being a muscle, right, that you have to work. I mean, and so I appreciate, that's just what kind of came to mind, and I agree that confidence is something that you have to build as a muscle. And at different times, I think in our I know for myself, like I'm in a transitory stage. And so I think absolutely having great support systems around you, of definitely seeking out those support systems that speak life into you and don't drain it, because that's vitally important this particular day and age. And what else? And I feel, and absolutely aligning, again, just centering as much as you can within yourself. And so, and just knowing that you are whole. And so I speak from kind of a different vantage point, in part because of my studies in the galactic experience, and just even that experience of just centering in yourself and getting to know yourself on a deeper level. It becomes almost just a channel where you just get to be and really center in just being. And so I'm looking forward to, working that muscle, and so those are my thoughts about it.
Okay. Well, thank you for that feedback. I just had to get off of TikTok. I completely forgot about TikTok. Like I said, I'm not good at multitasking. So I think it timed me out over there, and okay, whatever. Hold on, y'all. Um, all right, let's see here. I see Belladonna here. I'm going to go ahead and let her up. Hello, Miss Belladonna.
Hello, apologies. Oh,
None needed. We're just going to move forward. It's one of those things. I'm not paying you per hour, so you get here when you get here, hon.
I always try to be prompt, but me and this pillar had a fight. I lost.
Totally. It's okay. Sleep is important. Let me look at the comments real quick. I want all women to find their power in love. Hold on, let me see. I think there's a way for me to. There you go. I'm getting new to this, y'all. I'm reading it all when I could have it on the screen. Okay. Okay, so child of Orisha's intuitive says, I want all women to find their power in the love of self. Everything you want literally comes to you with little to no effort. Okay, well, thank you for that. And she also said self-love is the highest form of manifestation. Let's see here. I read Miss Holloway's earlier, but I want hers to be on the screen with my fur nephews. Ain't they cute, y'all? So I read this earlier, but I'll go ahead and read it again since it's on the screen. A societal norm that I have never agreed with was as a woman, we aren't expected to be bold working in corporate America. There were times I found myself in male dominated industries and I had to be bold to grow and develop in my role. So there is that. And okay, let me go back down here. Hey, Ash. What's up, Authentic Ash? I put a link in here. So, Ash, if you want to come up and be on the panel, just click. Let me post it again. So I can put it in there. Yes, girl, fur nephews. Those my boobs. All right. So we were going into next the breaking stereotypes. We're still under building confidence and independence. So breaking stereotypes. Self-mastery allows women to challenge limiting beliefs imposed on them, such as the idea that they are less capable in leadership or the STEM field. Now, I have to be honest, I heard people talking about the STEM field and I did not know what it was. So, of course, good old Google can help you out. So, for those that are wondering what the STEM field is, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. Okay. So, anyway, in terms of breaking stereotypes, there are two questions I'm going to put up here, and anyone in the comments or on here can answer either of these if you prefer, or both. What stereotypes about women have you internalized, and how have they shaped your view of your capabilities? I spoke about this the other day in a friend's live, and I spoke on. Let me see. Oh yeah, you're not coming up as an option for me to bring on stage, so you might have to disconnect and then come back up because it doesn't have. I don't even have the option to bring you up anymore. So I don't know whether you did something with your phone or what happened, but just leave and come back from the studio in StreamYard, and we can bring you back up. Okay. All right, let me get back here. All right. So for me, I can say that a stereotype that I internalized was I spent a lot of time in corporate America, y'all. So I went straight into corporate America from high school, and I'm still there. Ironically, in the same industry. So yeah, but anyway, I honestly had a issue with that angry black women trope. And so when women did things that I knew that other people would see them in that light, I I didn't really care for that. I didn't necessarily look at them as negatively, so to speak, but I knew how they would be seen. For example, someone being loud, in a professional setting, or ghetto, so to speak. I knew that's how it was going to be looked at, and I'm pretty protective over people I care about. So, I found myself sometimes when people were kind of loud in those settings or quick to anger, I knew what the implication of that would be and how we're stereotyped. And so I sometimes will often kind of cringe with that. And I realized that it was a bias, technically speaking, Because if I am in my full self mastery, and a big part of self mastery is being self aware internally and externally, as well as being my authentic self. So if this person chooses to express themselves a little louder than I would, or a little louder than I would prefer, that's their right to do so. Even though I was coming from the angle of not wanting other people to look at them in a negative way, it's still a bias, and it's still me getting in the way of someone else choosing to express themselves authentically. So I had to check myself in that way. So I stopped cringing and commenting, and just kind of ignored it, so to speak. All right, we got you back up here, Oya and Bella. I'm going to read the question again, and whoever wants to answer it, let me know. I think, did Oya put it in the chat? Hold on, let me. Because I can put it up here on the screen. Give me a sec, y'all. Oh, wrong area. So I'm going to put it on the screen so it's easy for us to kind of read, so we can see the topic and what the question is. Bella, you would cringe to that as well?
Yes, I would. It would just like grate my gears to a degree, and I would be like, no. And then as I gotten older, I say, look, people are going to be who they're going to be. It is not on you to attempt to govern how they operate in certain spaces. You only can worry about yourself. You know, you may be able to tug their, sleeve, like, hey, kind of be careful about what you're doing because they're watching. And then I would just go from there, leave it. But other than that, now that I've gotten where I am now, you do whatever it is that you want to do. I'm not responsible for your outcome.
Okay. Anyone else want to comment on that one before we move on to the next one?
No, I appreciate that. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. But part of what I'm having to recognize is that, that greater self-awareness of how certain folks do see you. And so, as far as being free and living in your freeness, but then operating in a world that may see you. So I will say the stereotype that I've been not necessarily internalized, but I'm aware of is, that we're automatically associated with DEI and whatever that means, and the machinations of white, well, let's just say limited thinking amongst certain groups of people. And so that, how do you, how has it shaped your views of how has it shaped my views of my capabilities? I am aware that this exists, and so seeking out support in redoing my resume, so that because the way that we think about our presence here on the planet and the work that we're here to do, it matters. And sometimes we have to adjust our language, right? It doesn't take away from, and I'm not necessarily talking about capitulating, but that is if you want to stay on the farm. I mean, the plantation is, I don't know, that the people have joked about, corporate America and working for the majority institutions as being, part of the plantation is absolutely right. So, we all have a choice in regards to really, well, one of my mentors, she talks about the shallow work, that there's two types of work, that there's deep work and shallow work. And the shallow work is essentially the work that we tend to think about regarding our 9 to 5, that really either kind of keeps us broke or puts us in situations where we can be fired. We're, really focusing on our deeper work, which is the gifts that we have to bring, and really just taking the time to carve out that time for yourself and make it sacred. And again, working that muscle, right? Working that confidence and will of manifesting what it is of your vision. We have those opportunities, and we have to be able to lean in it and adapt and change, and read the writing on the wall where we can.
Rebel, I'm like right there with you. Like, I got really fired up right there because it's true. Like, as you said, lean in. I was typing leaning into being more of yourself. I never heard it put that way, the shallow and the deep, but that's a really good way of like processing it, because some of it seems like it's not that important, and some of it seems like it's world changing. You know what I mean? And both are true, but both have their qualities and their value, and they both matter. So I really appreciate that statement you just made.
I'll share. So this is so the deeper work, and this is I always feel it's important. The next question that we have is talking about leadership in STEM fields, and I'll just lean into a little bit of really seeking out our heroes, right? Our models, and women have always been involved in science, and so like really remembering those stories. And but that's an aside. But I'll just say that. But I think it's important that we name our role models and the folks who are doing the work. And so the deeper work. Veronica Conway says creates new value in you or the economy. It's hard and it's impossible to replicate. It's rare and therefore valuable. The work gets you paid or promoted, versus the shallow work, where the work that almost anyone can do, it's not super valuable administratively, or it can be administrative or maintenance type of tasks. The work that keeps you broke or gets you fired or laid off. And it's almost kind of like a slap in the face in the sense of, I definitely had a different experience with Tara in regards to finding myself on a track with higher education, having worked in higher education for for a good amount of years. The presence of being able to see models and to meet folks who were in these different fields was always kind of present. And I've always been, and also, just being able to have access and know, and to know that they exist, to be able to uncover the stories. And that's really what's beautiful of the opportunity that we have with access to information, is to have those models more accessible to us, to have these spaces that Mahogany Muse has created for women to come together and to contemplate and to really kind of expand the perimeter of thinking. Like, we have access to this. And it's been a long time. It's been long. It's not too long ago. This year, only a couple of months ago, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of women being able to, have their own bank accounts, right? And lines of credit and whatnot. So I'm really amazed with just where all that women have been able to do and where we are at this point in time and what we have available to us, but very also aware of the thinking that's present on the planet that wants to keep us barefoot and pregnant. So.
That's real. I want to go back to what you said. Let me see. You made a comment about leaning in, and it made me consider, like right now, I know spiritually speaking, there's things that I'm supposed to be doing, right? And I done got tapped on the shoulder several times in the past really 3 years, because I've gotten comfortable in corporate America, and it happens. But there's something larger that I'm feeling drawn to do, that's a big part of my purpose, right? And so corporate pays the bills, But when you want a certain inner fulfillment, to really be doing the thing that pretty much you came here to do, um, corporate will pay the bills, but it's not going to fulfill that yearning inside for you to contribute to um, a larger cause that actually fits your particular purpose. So for me, I have a very busy job. Um, I enjoy it, but at the same time, I had to, sit back and start working on what I am doing now with Mahogany Muse, as well as another passion project that I have, which is Pure Alchemy Co. Um, Shout out to Pure Alchemy Co. Link in the
Hey.
bio and on my channel. So go check that out. Anyhow, um, the whole thing is I had to invest in myself, and I had to set that time aside to not be so willing to work so much overtime for someone else's dream, because corporate America is somebody else's dream. It does pay well, but it's still a stepping stone, right? And so being that I have been in this industry for a very long time, and I do enjoy what I'm doing, so I realize that is a really good situation, but I still have to make sure I set time aside to do the other things that are more enriching to me. So taking that time out, slowing down on working so hard for someone else's dream, and being willing to step out there and build what it is that I'm building now. And I literally spent time to get to know TikTok. Like now I'm branching out to spend more time to get to know how to operate in the YouTube space, and build really a supportive network and teach self-mastery for women, because I truly feel as though this is, if you can get women to heal themselves and work on our and do our inner work, do our shadow work, we then can turn and focus on the things that can help us grow as a collective. And I truly think that women are the key to having a future that's better than what we're looking at right now. Because let's just keep it real. Men have been doing what they've been doing, right? Good or bad, we're looking at the world the way it is now. What's missing is a higher presence of women stepping up to the plate and bringing our ideas to the forefront. And the reason we have not necessarily been able to do that is because of patriarchal standards, societal norms, religious, and religion is a tool of patriarchy. So, anyway, it might sound like I'm rambling, but the whole point is I feel as though I had to make time in my schedule to focus in on that which I was drawn to, which is my purpose, which what I'm doing with Mahogany Muse. I felt I had to, and this is a branch from what I was doing earlier with Black Womaniverse, which I've just started sharing some of my old podcasts. I think I have two up. One was an interview with Dr. Deborah Blair, and another one was called Goddess Alpha and Omega. So if y'all haven't checked that out on the page, whenever you want to listen to some, good content, it's me in my younger years. I said that like I'm old now. I'm not, but that was literally in my mid to late 20s when I started doing that podcast. And so I have all of my old shows. So I'll be sharing some of that information as I get an opportunity to edit it and put it back out, because it's really good information. But each time I stepped outside of what I'm doing for the corporate space to do what I was driven to do, that falls in line with helping women recognize how awesome we are and what our true capabilities are to shifting and changing the world here. It took a lot for me to do that. Instead of going out and, spending time, I still hung out with friends, I still traveled, I still did the things I enjoy, but it still takes time, because when you're interviewing people, when you're creating a space that's sacred for women, and you're really wanting to invest in women and to show to be a living example of what you're trying to teach people. When you do that, it takes effort. You got to plan for it. You got to set time aside. So it's something that I've been working on for a while, and I'm happy to share that with women who are really serious about doing the inner work, because this shit ain't easy. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just not easy. Let me look at some of the comments here. But I just when I was hearing Rebel Speak, when she hit that lean in thing and it was referring to her experience in corporate America, it just reminded me to share that. Because I think sometimes, a lot of times, women are like, do I risk investing money and time in myself to do this, or should I just get a higher paying job? You can keep climbing the corporate ladder and get more money, but is that truly going to satisfy? If you have a yearning to do something that's within your purpose, the money isn't going to satisfy that. If you're truly called to do something else, and it's possible for you to make the same money or close to it or even more if you branch out and do something that is truly what you're supposed to do. And I truly think, as women self-master and we start getting into fields that are closely aligned with our passion and our purpose, I think that money is definitely going to flow, because now we're not doing things that are out of alignment with who we are. And shout out to the women that have gotten into those fields and the industries and doing the things that are within their purpose. And there's a lot of tools out there like human design, galactic calendar, your birth chart placements, everything that really get into the tools to show you who you are. Those things help you identify how your energy operates in the world and what you're better aligned for. And a lot of times when people get these readings and things, they find out that they're getting information they already had an inkling about, and they're like, oh, this is why I feel like this in this scenario. Oh, this is why this relationship didn't work out. Oh, this is why I experienced this when I was a child. Those things really help to get people to understand themselves better. Anyway, let me go down here, and did I put the question up? So we're getting into cultivating leadership skills. So cultivating leadership skills, I'm going to go ahead and read the two items that fall under that, and then we can get into the questions. Let me look at the comments in case there was some other comments here, because I do know there are some comments here. I don't want to. I began to make sure that my time off was truly mine with no interruptions. Girl. um, what they call a woman's touch. The Black Gym. That's Miss Oya. All right. So I'm just filtering through the comments here. There's too much truth showing that this world is supposed to supposed to be operated by us. Our power was usurped. That's a definite. That is a definite. Oh, hey, Tiana. Or I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If I'm not, let me know. But thank you for coming over here. Hey, Pap Jess. And I'm trying to scroll through. I remember saying aloud as a young girl that I wanted to be a teacher, but not realizing that I would be teaching in capacity that I teach in now. There you go. And see, we're gonna, well, maybe not today. I pulled up some information that I wanted to share, but I think I'm just gonna make it a video, a content video. It's 10 impactful industries and careers for Black women. So I'm not going to get into it right now. I'm probably just going to make a video of that, because I think that is very inspiring. And see, education comes in a lot of different capacities. But yes, teaching, that's what we're doing now. Sharing our thoughts is a form of teaching. You never know what women you can inspire, putting your information out here on the internet. Anybody across the globe could get a hold of it, and you could spark a mind of someone that could go on to do some great things. So absolutely, you are definitely a teacher. Let's see. It starts with you. There's no limit to a field we can go into unless we believe there is. Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Let me see here. So for cultivating leadership skills, empowering others, women who practice self-mastery become role models, inspiring others to rise above societal barriers. So that's a fact. And then it's advocating for change. Confident, self-aware women can lead movements, mentor others, and advocate for policies that promote gender equality. Did you all want to share anything in relationship to those? We don't necessarily have to go with the questions I have. We can, but we don't have to. But for empowering other women, empowering others, for me, it feels good to empower others. It's like that's what I was supposed, what I'm supposed to be doing. That's exactly how that feels. It feels good to pour into other women and to hold on, y'all. Me multitasking. I told you I ain't the best at it, but I'm gonna get better at it for y'all. I don't like doing it in corporate America, if I'm being honest. Um, but empowering other people, it makes me feel so good because as I walk around in the world, like I said, I've said this many times before, but I'll say it here again. I am a super empath. I pick up on a lot of information from people. And sometimes you walk around and you can tell when people don't feel good about themselves. You see it in how they present themselves. You can see it in their posture. You can see it in how they don't project their voice. And when I see this in people, it really bothers me. Especially when I can see so much good in that person, when they can't see it in themselves, it just hits me differently. And I can understand why it happens. But if there's something that I can do to empower someone else, and then I can see a shift in them. They sit up straighter. I love mentoring people both professionally, in the corporate arena, as well as in with self mastery or what have you. It's just beautiful to see people shift from who they were before to being more self aware and confident, and also being able to teach them new skills. I'm proud to say this part next. The last two jobs that I've had, I've pretty much trained and put another Black woman in position to take my job when I was on the way out the door. That feeling is like nothing else. And I mean, I stayed with the company, but I took on a new role, but I positioned somebody else to learn new skills. I trained them well and they got more money. That's a win-win for me. That feels good to be able to contribute to somebody else's growth in that way. It feels really good. So for empowering women, what qualities do you admire in female leaders and how can you embody these in your own life? Well, I just answered it. So I'm going to open the floor for any of the sisters in the comments or on our panel to let us know how you feel about that.
I'll go ahead and read what I put into the comment.
You sound far away, love.
Oh, I'm not reading my. Can you hear me now?
You sound extra far away. Like, wait.
Yeah, she'll get it. She sounds like she under the sea far away.
Right.
While she gets that straight, I'm gonna read what she put in the comments. The qualities that I admire in women leaders, the ability to shift energy as they walking into what would be considered masculine ruled spaces while standing firm in who she. Yes, I couldn't even read the last two words because listen, that is a beautiful thing, right? I can only imagine, especially in an environment like corporate America where dog eat dog. I've experienced some really good things in corporate America, but I will say corporate America, I could teach an entire course on how to conduct yourself. In fact, I will teach a course on how to conduct yourself in corporate America, how to advocate for yourself, how to negotiate salary, how to, if you have a legit complaint with human resources or someone files a bogus complaint on you, how to deal with that. Because throughout the 24 years I've been in corporate America, I've had to deal with all these things and more. So I definitely don't mind sharing that expertise to help other women level themselves up and be more confident in their workspaces, because I truly believe that corporate America isn't going anywhere right now. Okay. However, that doesn't mean that while we're in those spaces, we can't initiate the change that's needed there.
I
So,
agree. And if you have someone who knows how to navigate that space, because to me, there's something special about you being able to place someone who looks like you. Because, I mean, let's just keep it real. We know how it is in these spaces for Black women. And if you can, what do they call it? Reach back, reach. I don't like the whole reach down thing, but reach back or just,
I
man,
just
I just
simply
think that
say
in corporate
uplift
space,
each other. That's what I say.
yeah.
But I can't tell you what to say. You figure your
But
words
it's
out.
just something about that in corporate space. I think is extra special. You know, it's just because
Yeah.
it's not it's not where that's not an environment where that type of behavior is put first or cultivated, and if it is, it's hidden. You know what I'm saying? So I just love that for us when we're in spaces and we can move that way with each other, make that choice, because I think that's a choice. And I think that's what how I would answer that question of, let me go back to it. Doop de doo. What qualities do you admire in female leaders, and how can you embody these in your own life? And I think for me, it is that type of flexibility to understand what's really needed in that moment. And when I observe women leaders who seem to be able to, like, like in the Matrix, how they show Neo with the bullets. I like to think of Black women as Neo and the bullets being life and the bull stuff that comes with life. And when I see a Black woman who could do that little back bend thing like that, who understands the gift that is surrender and acceptance and submission where it really counts, baby. And I do know that it has a lot to do with accepting yourself and what is all at the same time in some type of weird way. And I just think it's like a super skill set. So when I see women leaders, especially ones that look like me, and I see them navigating in all kinds of spaces and being able to do even what you're talking about, Mahogany, being able to say, hey, I got this position coming up, and yeah, I'm doing it now, and I want you to come in, versus letting them pick somebody to come in, or knowing you're coming behind me and you look like me and you probably had a lot of the same experiences I had, and instead of making it hard for you or busting your chops, I'm gonna just put you on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, to me, that's
All right.
I just love that. That would be the thing that I want to build on, is to, and I think again, being able to have that kind of flexibility in life itself is um is really about knowing where to apply submission, acceptance, and what they call going with the flow, but you don't give up yourself while you're doing it. You don't abandon your
Okay.
own flow to go with the flow. So I admire that quality in women leaders.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We're going to get to the next portion under cultivating leadership skills and try to get through resisting oppression. And then we're going to move over to our exclusive content for those who are on Patreon. So if you are a member on our Patreon, there's an exclusive content link. If you want to join the Patreon to continue the conversation once we end this live, you can go on over. The link is in the description on this video, as well as in our description on our channel. But we'll go ahead and continue, and then we'll move over in a few. So advocating for change. Confident, self-aware women can lead movements, mentor others, and advocate for policies that promote gender equality. So in terms of, let me get it back up here. Advocating for change. How can your self-awareness and confidence contribute to building momentum for these changes? For me, I think allowing other women to see you be bold and start something new, do something new, or move up the corporate ladder, or whatever it is that you're doing, when you enjoy it, there's a certain energy that you carry. We as women, and specifically as Black women, as someone mentioned earlier, we walk into a room and we can shift the energy in that room. And I'm saying this because I've seen it and I've done it. My bestie that's in the chat, because I keep shouting her out. She has a smile that's like nothing else, right? And she could just go take the dogs out for a walk or walk into a room. She just talks to any and everybody. I admire that about her. I don't care to do that. I don't care. I am a introverted extrovert. So I have my moments where I'm, where I'm the life of the party, but my energy will dwindle quickly, right? So I use it sparingly. So, but I love observing her in her natural essence of being so friendly and open. And so those type of things, when other people see it and that's truly a part of them, but they've shied away from it because of things people have said to them. And see, this is the thing. Sometimes people don't think about what they're saying to children, and they don't think about the impact and implication of what they say to children that could affect their development when they get older. Children remember things that you say to them. And as Maya Angelou say, people may not remember what you did, but they always remember how you made them feel. So I'm very careful with people as to what I say to them, because I know the impact that it could have, and I want to make a positive impact when I can. But don't get me wrong, I don't mind being the villain when I need to. I just want to put that out there. So for me, I think what I just said answers the question. Just being supportive, being aware of how your energy and the things you say and do could affect other people in building their confidence or building momentum to go toward change or tearing them down. For me, there's so much more power in building somebody up versus tearing them down to make me seem bigger than them. I would prefer to let my actions, speak for themselves than to feel like I have to say something that's degrading or condescending to someone to get them to move into action. I can't get with that. I can't get with that. Do any of you on the panel want to comment on the question I have on the screen? How can your self-awareness and confidence contribute to building momentum for these changes? And when I say these changes, go ahead,
try
hon.
it again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We have to also remember words can either build or destroy. I know there's a verse out there. There's power in death and life was in the tongue. You have to be mindful with your words, because you don't never know what someone is going through at that moment or possibly has gone through. So you have to be able to read that energy that is coming off of them and gear your approach to what it is that you're feeling in them, to be able to reach into what it is that you're feeling and seeing. And when you have that capability to do that, just that light touch will give them the spark to stand up.
There you go. Rebel, did you care? Rebel Oya, did y'all want to contribute to the question? I can put it back on the screen. I gotta scroll up to find it, but I can find it.
No, it's
I'm
all
toggling between my controllers over here with the chat and the mic, and going back to the comment screen. I'm on my phone.
I'll just put it on the screen.
Yes. Okay. How can your? Yeah, I just choose kindness. I choose kindness, intentional kindness, as much as possible. That I'm aware that people are not aware. So, and I'm aware that we are all perfectly imperfect. So even, as much as I may think I'm aware and self-aware, every dog has his day. You might miss the mark, and that be the day someone has to experience you being less than, if you will. And so for that reason, I choose kindness. I choose kindness, and I choose to accept that we are all, the light that we are while being here in this realm, wearing these flesh suits. And so for me, it's just kindness. That's the only way. And that has, for me, that um has created a very natural momentum of going with the flow and providing the buoyancy and the air I need to do my matrix moves. You feel me? So yeah,
Yeah.
that's for me. It's just, I just choose kindness wherever I can intentionally.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I am going to go to the last two questions before we take a quick break and then move over to our exclusive content. Um, for everyone who is already signed up on our Patreon, you'll be able to go in there and find the exclusive post and click on that link after our break, and we'll go right in and pick up and continue the conversation. Um, let's see here. So this is the next thing I'm going to put up here. Let me go down the bottom. Before I do, let me put a couple of the comments up. You also must know how to see who moves in the maliciousness and keep them away. Absolutely. All right. So resisting oppression, awareness of systems, self-mastery includes understanding how systemic forces operate, enabling women to dismantle harmful structures and build equitable ones. So the question that I have under this particular section is, what systemic forces have you observed that perpetuate inequality and how they impacted you? I would say outside, in my personal life, the things that impact me there are the societal norms and how men think that what our mothers and grandmothers would put up with, that we're supposed to continue to put up with. Yeah, that's perpetuating inequality. We did not get access to having our own lines of credit, owning our own property, having our own checking accounts and things just to still be second class citizens in 2024. And the fact that a lot of men, it's not all men, it's literally not all men, but I say it's all until it's none, right? And I say that because if the men who know better and are treating women better, if they don't talk to and mentor and coach their friends and the young men in their life, essentially they're contributing to the problem. In my opinion, that's just the way I look at it. So in that way, I say it's all until it's none. Because there are women such as myself and the women here in the comments that we have conversations with our friends. We have these discussions, and we try to impart some wisdom and build other women up. When I talk to men, what I'm getting in feedback from men is that their counterparts don't want to hear it. And eventually what they do is they'll pull away. Hey, Nita. Eventually what they do is they pull away. So they'll pull away, but it's no contribution to making sure that how they handle things in their life is going to be changed in any capacity. FYI, Nita, because you just got here, we're going to switch over in about, as soon as we finish with these lines of questions here, we're going to switch over to our exclusive content. So you can, at that point, we're going to go over to Patreon and use the link for the exclusive content to finish the conversation there. But yeah, Nita be watching. She's so cute, y'all. Look at that picture. All right, so, and Authentic says she agrees, and I'm just trying to look through the comments. All right, so let me get back to, hold on. Did you want to speak to this, Bella, since I have your comment up on the screen? Or did you want to hold off until I put the question back up?
Actually,
If you got the question, we're good.
yeah, I got the question. Women gain the rights to open bank accounts in the 1960s, but many banks refused to allow them to do so without male co-signers until 1974. I was 2 years old when that happened. Just two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've only had this right for 50 years, and they're still treating us like they're upset that we actually stepped out and did our own thing and we want to be independent. There are some women that want a man to pay their way. I don't think it's safe in 2024. I
No,
don't
it's
think
not.
it's safe to expect a man to give you the soft life and he's got all control of the money. And what's the trade-off for that? The
There is
trade-off, in my
none. Not
opinion, is control.
one woman in my upbringing said to me, and believe it or not, she was a teacher that I was under when I was in school. She said to me, if a man has the power to feed you, he has the power to starve. Never put yourself in that position. And the craziness is, after I was told that, I later saw an example of that in my first husband's grandmother. She knew nothing about how to pay the bills or operate the house. Her husband did all of it. And fortunate for her, she was the one that left this world before he did. Because had it been the other way around, she would have been lost and probably would have been homeless.
Wow. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the next question up. Uh, Let me get back to the comments. I'm gonna switch back to the question just in case Rebel or Oya wants to respond to it. If you don't have anything to add, just let me know. No pressure, and we can move on. But I wanted to. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Where is it? Me trying to keep up with comments got me scrolling all over the place. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and move on. All right, so I will put Nita's comment up. Men are the biggest gold diggers. They know how to spot a resource better than a woman. Honey, exactly. And they will starve you to make you suffer and get in line. Listen. And when women are being honest about our experiences, not that all of us have had this, the same experiences, um, not that all of us have had the same experiences, but when we speak on the experiences we've had, a lot of times men will be quick to tell you you're lying. You're lying. That didn't happen. And I'm like, women have to get to a point where we don't really care what men think about our experiences, where we're not seeking, because I know I don't do this personally, but when I speak as a collective. Women need to stop expecting validation from men for our experiences, for our lived experiences. If they don't date men, they're not qualified to tell women what we're experiencing.
No, they're not. And I want you to listen to what's not being said when they rebuttal against us speaking outwardly in regards to our experiences. They're doing that. They want us to shut up. They don't want us to commune. They don't want us to come together. Why do you think that they sow division amongst us? In their thought process is because this is how they move amongst themselves. They want us to move in the same fashion to keep us from moving in unison with each other. Because in numbers, there is power. They will sow discord amongst each other. And if you pay attention to them, the only united front that they move in is being slimy, gutter, and grimy. They stab each other in the backs just over some tail. And they protect each other in their wrongdoing in the same token. But they don't want us to be that way. If you pay attention to the spaces that we have operated in and paid attention to what they have said, when the fella who has a girlfriend or a wife, he will automatically start strategically moving to cut her off from her mother, cut her off from her father, cut her off from her quote unquote single girlfriends or homegirls.
Oh, they will
Because
even cut them off from the married ones too. I witnessed it.
yes,
My mom's
yeah,
boyfriend did that. I saw it.
yeah, because the person who is sitting outside of the fishbowl looking in can see the things that you cannot see. Because how can you see the picture when you're sitting inside the frame? They don't want anybody to tap her on the shoulder and hey, that ain't right. And they will also cut you off from those women that were close to you if they cannot slide up next to any of your homegirls or your female relatives, including your mom, if they have boundaries and standards and won't let them service them with the dirty dildo dick.
Ma'am, did
Huh?
you I'm not doing this. So let's go move on to this question here. So strategic action. It fosters resilience and strategic thinking, equipping women to navigate and challenge patriarchal systems effectively. So here's the question I'm posing. How do you handle resistance when advocating for change? And what strategies could you adopt to increase your effectiveness? Because we were just talking about some of the things that we come up against as we're telling our stories. So, how do we handle the resistance and advocating for change? And what strategies could you adopt to increase your effectiveness? I'm going to tell you what I think we could adopt to increase our effectiveness. I think we could adopt. Okay. Oh, yeah. I just saw your comment. I think we could adopt a policy of not interacting with men unless it's a progressive conversation. If you're in a conversation, and that's if where I'm at right now, I don't see any benefit if it's not a man that I actually know in my life that I have a relationship with, a cousin, an uncle, whatever. If it's not somebody I know I can trust, I don't really see a point in spending a lot of time talking to men because I'm not going to get anything out of it unless I just want to observe and I'm curious or whatever. But for the most part, I feel as though we should limit your interactions unless it's beneficial to you. In other words, people in the social media spaces like to, red pill content, all this stuff. We know that it's clickbait when people talk about Black women, especially when it's negative. So
Facts.
if we know this, then why continue to give our attention? Why continue to give our views? Why continue to contribute to things that are not beneficial to your upliftment? If you're thinking it from a standpoint of self-mastery, the thing that you focus on is what you're going to manifest. So if you're continuing to argue with men in lives and trying to convince them, then there's that. So that's what I will say about that. Bella, I see you have an answer, so go ahead and share your thought on that, and we'll go to Oya and Rebel, and then we're gonna go over to our live stream on the exclusive end to finish this off for the night.
All right. You've already articulated the first portion of my answer. The second portion of the answer is too many are actually moving in cognitive dissonance and still have hope for the poor bastards.
Mm.
I'm just going to keep it real. They they still have hope for these poor witless bastards, thinking that they're going to, become the butterfly in the cocoon and emerge as this glorious, shining, beaming specimen of an evolved individual. When in actuality, you're just going to get shit that has been decorated.
Nita, I got my dad and my baby daddy blocked until they get with my program. So imagine me caring about what these men think.
Child.
Well, well, I will say this: you have to train people how to treat you. And that's the thing that I think some women don't get. Some women are, I mean, because when I sit back and look at some of what's happening in social media, when I look at some of these TikTok videos, because it gives us a little snapshot of what's happening globally. Women, there are women that are still trying to convince men to just be better. And what they are saying is, we're going to continue doing what we've been doing. There are some men that are choosing to evolve and become better, but the percentages of them in comparison to other men, it's just crazy. And I just think we're better off focusing on how we can be the change we want to see instead of trying to reach out and change somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my perspective. Oya, Rebel, did y'all want to share before we take a quick break and head over to do our exclusive on our Patreon?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. And I was mic'd down in time to be able to respond. For me, I handled the resistance by expecting it. Like, I know it's coming. It's been coming since I got to this planet. So just resistance to me occurring is here. Like, so for me, it's accepting that. And I think it's like, as far as strategies to increase your effectiveness, and when you say increase effectiveness of handling the resistance or effectiveness of advocating for change?
So I will have to read you the strategic action. It fosters resilience and strategic thinking, equipping women to navigate and challenge patriarchal systems effectively. So we're talking about what strategies could you adopt to increase the effectiveness of challenging patriarchal systems effectively.
Okay, then it was what I think that's like a multi-prong attack. Like, because at first I was thinking like everybody got to be militarized, but then I was like, but what if somebody born with like a disability, they're differently abled and they maybe don't have limbs or functional. So that's where I think, like, literally, which is why women's work is so important, because even mentalism, like, some of us got some strong minds, might not have long legs, might have a little bit of a short arm, but that mental game will have you thinking, some other stuff going on, which to me taps into like women's brains. There's something special about our brains. And I think that from a young age, being a mom and instilling in your children how to like be what they actually are, which does come down to, no matter what gender your child is, if you're choosing motherhood, then you understand that you are a part of what shapes the continuation of this world as far as the beings that inhabit it. And if you have any impact on that, then I think the multi-prong approach is good. Some militancy, meaning everyone need to know how to like fight at a very base level to protect the avatar, and maybe other avatars that are smaller than yours. Your mental game got to be right. You got to know how to read a situation, a room, a piece of paper. So to me, it's like it's like what we call self-mastery. You have to actually intentionally cultivate the whole of yourself. To me, that's the only strategy that makes sense to me, is a bunch of strategies. Yeah.
Rebel, did you want to respond to the previous question or the one on the screen? I'm about to get into my thoughts about that one, and then we're going to take a quick break.
Go back to the past question. I was
okay. I am finding it for you. I was looking
because as I was thinking, as I look at that last question, but I was just thinking about, number one, we do have to be mindful about the amount of fight that we're willing to put into kind of dead systems. And, thinking about, when we're talking about leadership and there isn't really kind of clear paths of.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. So how do you handle resistance when advocating for change, and what strategies could you adopt to increase your effectiveness? And then this goes into the self-mastery piece, being able to read the room. I think being really connected to the work that you are doing, like really feeling on purpose. I think that there's a way that you're able to know yourself through and through, which would include, if we're talking about within a work context, hopefully one is doing work that they actually enjoy. But the actual kind of scenario that I was thinking through was that, sometimes you can be in such toxic positions where, and this being the system is so indoctrinated because it's that hegemonic structure where you've got management who gets off on being bullies, right, and stuff, and having to go through a gauntlet, and leadership. And so I think that we have to be, if you understand and we come into the awareness that that is the course, one needs to make a conscientious decision of whether or not they're going to choose to invest in the fight or invest in the fight in a different way. And this idea of like resistance, right? Where there's the whole other lived reality is flow, right? And this piece of being able to shift gears and being creators of our reality towards a opportunity that allows us to have that more flow. And so that, there's that surrendering, we had mentioned earlier about kind of the surrendering piece. And I think that there are times that there are some situations that we do have to surrender, and that aren't really worth fighting and maintaining. But, for those women who are in positions of power, and are well situated and loving what they do, right, and feeling empowered by the fight. And I just say, rock on. I got cut off and wasn't able to answer some of the questions earlier, but I've always been a cheerleader for humanity, especially for women. And so being able to, speak life and support and share the great work that women are doing has always been a part of has been a strong kind of principle and foundation for me. And so it's almost kind of sharing the good news and letting folks know that opportunities exist, or to be able to share the stories of incredible women who have been able to manage through some challenging times. I think that now more than ever, we owe it to ourselves to definitely seek out the stories of those women who have come before us, who have encountered ridiculous challenges, but also just looking around us and connecting with amazing women who have also encountered amazing, ridiculous challenges and are standing, living, and breathing here today. And so I think the more that we have examples, the better. The more that we seek out examples, the more that we can learn how to adopt and to increase our effectiveness.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and get into this last question before we take a break, or end out the public section, and get to our exclusive content on Patreon. So anyway, in what ways can resilience and self-mastery help you confront challenges posed by patriarchal systems? Self-mastery helps in a lot of ways. The main way is you're aware of yourself. You have that self-awareness internally and externally. And I say it that way because there are two different types of self-mastery. Nai Oya, you're going to be on the Patreon side. Okay, we'll see you in a few. I gotta go walk the fur babies real quick when we're done, but before we get on the Patreon side. But I will say that self-mastery helps with self-awareness and authenticity. And when you really understand the value of operating in your authentic self out in the world, you're released from needing or requiring external validation. The benefit of showing up as all of who you are and what you could get out of that far surpasses trying to be the person as people pleasing. Because when you realize that people pleasing actually is damaging to you, you have to shift. So to me, that is a level of resilience and self-mastery that gives you the fortitude and the foresight to deal with challenges posed by patriarchal systems, whether it's at work, in your personal life, what have you. Those things allow you to be able to stand up and deal with that in a different way. So that's what I will say with that. Did either of you want to contribute to that before we take a quick break and go on the Patreon side?
I just concur with everything that you shared.
Okay. Bella, did you have anything to add?
No, you've covered all bases with this last one. I'm gonna go ahead and drop from here and go ahead and shift over to the Patreon side.
All right. Okay, well, thank you all for showing up and participating with this live. For everyone who is able to access the Patreon, see you over there in about 10 minutes or so. So we're going to say 9:45. And anyone who's interested, the link is in the description under this video. If you're interested in coming over to the Patreon side to continue the conversation, I will see you all soon.